Ivan, yeah.
Hello, hello, Chris.
Good. So you can see me and you can hear me
Perfectly. Can you hear me?
perfectly.
Oh, that's great.
Let's hope it stays that way. Yeah, and we can see you really clearly. Your lighting is good. Your camera's good. So well done for that. Awesome.
Fantastic. That's my first live. So I'm very pleased to share this experience with you, Chris. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, I'm very honoured that you're doing your first live on FRAG-MENTAL.uk. So I honestly, I'm thrilled. I'm a big fan of your house. So to have the opportunity to chat to you live is pretty special for me. So thank you for coming on.
It's really a
So
pleasure.
are you having a good day today?
Yeah, great day. We have a fantastic weather here in New York. I can show you. I will quickly show you. Look at that.
Oh wow.
The fall atmosphere in New York with a great blue sky. That's
perfect all day.
amazing. I really love these days. Cold, a bit cold, but nice sun, good vibes.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Just making sure I'm recording. Well, it's good for everybody to see where you are, your surroundings. I always think it's nice for people to not just necessarily see a face on a camera. It's nice for people to be able to place where you are. So that doesn't look like Manhattan. That doesn't look like downtown New York.
Oh, I am in countryside in Ridgewood, in New Jersey. So it's like 30-40 minutes from Manhattan.
All right.
North. Yeah.
Okay. And do you drive into Manhattan, or do you get the you drive in?
Drive or take the train, or it depends.
Okay. All right.
But I'm based here since few months because we started our US subsidiary lately. So we have the full team here in US. So I'm trying to lead the show the best as I can with the team. And so we have a account executive based in Miami, in Texas, in LA, in New York. I see that some of them are watching the live. So hello.
That's great. Hi everybody joining. That's I think we have some
great adventure because we have started lately in US. Was the latest continent that we really want it to happen. So we are so far doing amazing. We have a great partnership with Nordstrom. So, and we have our boutique in Meatpacking in New York, as you know, where we are having regularly some great events. So that's why now I spend most of my time here and going back regularly to Paris. And but that's great, new adventure.
Absolutely. So was the boutique in New York your first boutique in the US?
No, in US, yeah. Actually, the first one was Paris, obviously. Then New York, we did open it 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we now have a beautiful new one in Dubai Mall, with a new concept, which is beautiful merchandising. And actually, we are going to refurbish and redo the New York boutique in January with a new concept, which will be outstanding. I hope you will love it, guys. But if you're interested to see, you can see on the Parfum de Marly Instagram, you will see some pictures of the new concept in Dubai, which is really great.
I'll take a look because I think the boutique that I've seen in New York looks incredible. So I'm sure it will be just
incredible. But the new concept is a bit more modern, I would say. Still having bridge with paying tribute to the 18th century, of course, and the French history, but being a bit more modern, a bit more Parisian, like the Haussmannian buildings, of Haussmannian apartment, you know, and it's very beautiful with a parquet Versailles from Versailles, the same parquet than you can see admire in Versailles. So it's a mix between modern and the past, which is really beautiful too.
It sounds like a great fusion. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I can tell that you're having a good time. You seem really excited about the adventure you're having in the US.
Yeah, because it's incredible to see, to restart, because we are very well, as you know, established in Europe, in Middle East, in East Europe, Russia, CIS, and so on, where we started long ago. And in US, we are there since 3 years almost.
Yeah.
So it's very new. And but we enjoy tremendous growth, success, and we have amazing results so far. We are super happy, and you never know in advance, Stupidly, people believe that sometimes, and I was the first to believe that people living in US like only citrusy or very fresh, or they are not ready for niche fragrance, which is absolutely not true. And they are really open-minded and ready to discover new scents. And so we are doing extremely well. Next week we have the first installation that will be placed in Nordstrom Dadeland in Miami, where we'll have a great installation, which will be really fantastic. So thank you, Laurie, for your great job, because we have been proposed to have such a great location thanks to the performance, of course, of the brand, because we have to prove to our partners that we can be successful here, and that's very exciting. So,
and I'm sure you will be, because there's a lot of love for your house, and I think it's great that you're having this US adventure, because obviously it's a massive market for you to tap into, and it goes off the quality of the fragrances and the hunger for the type of fragrances. And I think for the type of fragrances that Parfums de Marly offer, I think there's a big market for that. So, I can see it being
working on it, man.
Yeah. So we've got a few questions. So I wanted to ask my subscribers and followers some questions, rather than me just coming up with the questions, because there might have been topics that that people were interested in that I didn't think about. So I think it was a good thing to ask my subscribers. I was just going to start off with a couple of my own questions, really. Starting with you, Ivan the man. So tell me about your background and how you became involved with the brand.
Oh, it really happened by chance, I would say. 10 years ago, Julien Sprecher, the owner and the creator of the brand, called me with his partner, Axel, and one of my ex-colleagues advised them to, as a potential group general manager or the CEO or whatever, just call it as you like. Then they phoned me. I was working in retail before as a general manager, and Julien called me one day. I was in my office and explained me his project with Parfums de Marly, that he was just at the start at that time, and that he would love to have me in his team to develop the brand, to help him to get successful internationally. And the project sounds truly amazing for me. And after 3 days after we met, and 3 days after I signed the contract, and here I am. And that's really life sometimes give you some great surprise, and it's a blessing for me to work since almost 10 years with Julian and Axel. Yeah, it's a fantastic adventure.
How interested in perfumery or involved with it were you personally before you got involved with Parfums de Marly?
I was GM of big department stores. So of course there was a beauty department with perfumes and so on. So I was very familiar already with the perfumery world. And I had a great, I hope, eyes for retail perspective, which is as well a good complement with the creation part. It's not always matching nicely together, so it was a good asset for Julien to have someone knowing the retail part as well, and to work closely with him. And I believe at the beginning that was mainly my adding value to the team, and of course working closely with Julien on daily basis, smelling every day tons of different smell and creation that we are working on. but you quickly learn and get passionated, truly passionated about this world, which is truly amazing and infinite.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I found that once you discover scent and fragrance and you go down that rabbit hole, it's somewhere it's difficult to come back from there, because suddenly your sense of smell just receives all these amazing compositions that you didn't really know existed before you got into fragrances. So once you're into it, I think most people remain hooked and passionate about it. And I think it's quite easy to get passionate about it as well. And you're from obviously from France, born in France originally.
I'm born in Paris, north of Paris.
Okay, all right, okay. And
north of Paris in Lille, that is closer from you actually.
Sure. I've been to Paris. I've been on top of the Eiffel Tower. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful city. Montmartre is actually my favorite part of Paris. I love the area.
All right. So actually now, I'm acting, so I'm supporting Julien. So Julien's Pressure is really the main creator for the perfumes, working extremely closely with few of great perfumer we are working with, and he's acting as a fantastic, what we call evaluator. He's not chemist, but he's the one working, asking to work for the perfumer to work on our project, on what he has in mind. Of course, Axel, myself, and 2-3 team member will have some action and give advice, or Julien will ask us, what do you think about that? So we end up having some scent meeting, arguing, fighting, or being not agree necessarily together, but at the end of the day, Julien will have the latest words, but he doesn't like to take too many people opinions, because you can get lost quickly, but he's surrounded by people loving the brand, being passionate with the brand, that can eventually guide him on some small parts. But we are lucky to have such a great guy behind the brand that absolutely incredible nose. Yeah, absolutely. And
so you yourself are involved in the creative process of each new scent that
so of course, yes, of course. You know, the process it's extremely long. So at first we'll give a brief to the perfumer that will start to work on something, come to us, present the different proposals. Then Julien will critique, will say, oh, this is not Marley DNA. He's expert enough to say, oh, I want you to boost a bit the top note, add this ingredients, or I'm not happy with it's not balanced enough, or it's not perfumes the Marley DNA. Then the perfumer will rework and rework and rework. And the latest one we work on that we just launched was Percival. It took us almost 3 years. Back and forward with Hamid Merati-Kashani, who is one of the great in-house perfumer he has done Pegasus, he has done Layton Exclusive, Acaster. Well, so he's a great guy, but it doesn't mean that the perfumer will bring the perfume and say, here it is. No, it takes 20, like this one, take more than 20 meetings. We were going there, or you were coming to our office, and always working till we get every perfumes de Marly component that we want, meaning lasting, projection, quality, signature, and you know, we ask them to work with a lot of natural ingredients, because this is part of our signature. Our signature to work natural ingredients when they exist at a natural. In the nature. Of course, every ingredients are not available, unfortunately, in the nature, like the fruit, like the leather, and so on. Then you use synthetic molecules. But every flowers, woods, vanilla will be natural. So the main ingredient we will always use natural, which is much more complicated to work for a perfumer than to work only with synthetic molecules.
Mm.
So it's a long process.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I love your house so much. Oh, hi, Joe sent me. Thanks for joining in. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, hello, Joe.
Yeah, big friend of mine.
Joe sent me is a great influencer, very passionate, very legit. So welcome, Joe. Happy to have you there.
So one of the reasons I love Parfums de Marly so much is because of that distinctive DNA. If I buy a Parfums de Marly fragrance, I know I'm getting this thick, luxurious fragrance that lasts amazingly well on my skin, that projects very well, it's characteristic and has a continuity across the brand, which I really love. I think it's great that Parfums de Marly have their own distinctive signature in their scent.
Yeah, this is really what we try, and that is why Julien's Pressure is never doing a test on many people to make sure if it will please or no. So we prefer to work with passion, with our heart, and when we love it, let's do it, you know, and we'll see. You never know in advance if it will be a great success or no. We had, luckily, we had most of them doing very well and being very well appreciated, but we did have one or two failures, which is fine, which doesn't mean we don't like them. They are great, but maybe more segmenting sometimes and cannot please everyone. And anyway, we are always trying to, when we come up with a new creation, to adapt to the collection, to bring something that eventually will please new people or different people, or for the fan of the brand. And we have more and more, having 7, 8 at home and trying to get the entire collection step by step. And everyone will be good to use for another day, mood, experience, depend where you go. So you don't want to wear the same thing when you go to work than when you go outside for party or whatever it is. And we always try to add up in the collection. Yeah, absolutely.
Would you be prepared to reveal to us what your top selling fragrance is so far?
Yeah, for sure. Why not? Layton. Lately, since many years now, is our top seller. Very close from Pegasus. Pegasus, even though being a fragrance, I believe we launched 8 years ago, it's still #1, neck to neck with Layton. Lately, since we launched Percival, we are still in launch process. So now Percival is #1, but it's still too early to say in time, but we have a great success. And the good thing is it's really new people, new customers. It's a great fragrance to start to enter in the world of the high perfumery. It's very versatile. So we have a great success, actually. We just launched 2 weeks ago in US, and it's booming. We were sold out in almost all the Nordstrom, and in UK I know it's doing very well as well. So but Layton, so Percival now, Layton, Pegasus. Then in fall you have Erod, which is doing always extremely well during winter. Oajan, doing amazing as well during winter.
2 of my favorites, Yeah.
What else?
I can see why
for the woman. Sorry?
I can see why Layton is a top seller, because it's another very accessible fragrance. I think it's an easy way into niche, and it's an
still being a very signed perfume. You know what I love in Layton? It's really a fragrance having a dual spirit. You first have the very fresh, appealing bergamot, which is very pleasant and appealing. And then it's going down with precious woods melting with vanilla, giving a deep and warm effect. So it's as well, at the same time, it is energetic, fresh, and deep, which is not so common. And I love this fragrance for that. This dual spirit is really great.
Yeah. Shall we get on to some questions before we run out of time? Because Instagram cut us off after an hour. So we'll see. We'll get through some questions and we'll see how far we get. So these are taken from some of my YouTube subscribers and some of my Instagram followers. So we'll start with a question from GMAC5, one of my YouTube subscribers. And he says, ask Ivan what his first bottle of fragrance that he bought was and why.
Okay. Oh, the first one I remember when I was in the high school. It was Pour un homme from Caron, you
Okay.
know, which is an
Yeah.
amazing lavender vanilla.
Yeah.
And I had my, I was, how do you say, when you sleep in the high school, I was internship, I was based there, in high school.
Okay.
Was not
Yeah.
in my house. So I don't know.
Like a boarding school. Yeah.
So, and my neighbor was wearing this fragrance. And every time I was entering in his room, it was like, wow. And it's really the first fragrance that brings me in the perfumery world. It was Pour un homme de Caron, which is most probably still now the best vanilla lavender on the market, probably. Yeah.
Great. Two beautiful notes right there. The next question from Mul Mensch is, what is the most complimented fragrance of all time from Parfums de Marly? If you can answer that, I'm not sure if
that's very interesting. That's very interesting. For sure, the current one is Delina for the woman part. It's absolutely incredible. I cannot meet one person who is wearing Delina and they are all telling me, wow, everyone's stopping me in the street, in the store, and I cannot go anywhere without having people ask me, wow, I love your perfume. What are you wearing? So we have this incredible effect with Delina, which is massive, and we enjoy a fantastic success with it.
Do you wear Delina?
Yeah, the Delina. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you wear that yourself? Is that what you're saying?
Alors, the exclusive version, I can wear it sometimes, absolutely. The exclusive version is even more intense and have a more vanilla base. It's very, very warm and round, and I can wear it. It can be a unisex fragrance. When Delina, I believe, is so feminine.
I agree with you. I smelled it in Selfridges recently, and I thought that was totally wearable for me. It's unisex, even though it's in a nice pink bottle.
And then for the unisex creation, so of course Layton is one of them. Pegasus is really, I think for me today it's still Pegasus I'm wearing the most often.
Okay. Ah, interesting.
Yeah, because it's for me for us it's a very important fragrance in the history of the brand, because that's the first amazing success that helped the brand as well to grow that much worldwide. It's really a fragrance that can please everybody. I mean, in US, in Europe, in Middle East. It's one of these rare fragrances that we'll find. It's a tiny arrow that you can please every kind of customers, And I love it because you can recognize it among thousands. This heliotrope almond smell is really unique. It's not comparable to any fragrance, and it has you receive a lot of questions. Oh, what are you wearing? Because people are not used to such a smell, and in a very positive way. And so that's a great compliment getter as well. And then of course it's difficult to say because lately we have some aficionados of Carlisle, which is a fantastic fragrance where you receive tons of compliments as well. Oajan will have the same effect. Erode, of course, as well. So it's difficult to say, especially for me, because people know I'm from the house, so they like to compliment, but you never know if that's really what they believe or not.
It's a difficult question to answer definitively, isn't it, that one?
Actually, we have many different style, different kind of fragrances, and most of them are great compliment getters. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. So QQ asks, are you planning to release a Vltava fragrance?
Hello, QQ, thank you for that question. So maybe you missed this one because it's one of our rare unsuccess fragrances, and I'm totally in love with it. It's named Byerly. It's a green bottle. It's not easy to find because it's only in the boutiques and in a very few niche specialized door. It's not a fragrance that you will find everywhere where Parfums de Mali is sold, but it's a great vetiver from Java. So it's a really, so the vetiver from Java has a specificity being a smoky, very smoky vetiver. And it has a dry down which is absolutely amazing and very refined. But that is true that when you spray it, you have this bunch of smoke coming, like you burn wood, which is coming from the vetiver from Java. And that was difficult, makes the fragrance difficult to sell and to please a lot of people, because it's very niche, it's very segmenting, but it's an amazing, amazing vetiver. So
I can't wait to try it.
To go on the pmarley.com. It's, of course, everything is available there, and of course we'll be more than happy to send a sample of it if you need, and you can still have it on the pmarley.com. Yeah.
Great. So next question from It's Caillou asks, where did you get the inspiration for the horses on the bottles?
Now this is really linked to the history of the brand. So, you know, as you might know, maybe we pay tribute to the 18th century. The 18th century is really the time the perfumery world totally changed. It's under Louis XV, King of France. And Louis XV was truly passionate with perfumes and horse uniforms. And he was based, of course, in Château de Versailles, in Paris, but he was not a great king. Versailles was too heavy for him. The etiquette was something too complicated that he didn't like to really much. And he loved to spend his time in Marly Castle, in Château de Marly. And he was the first king having his own master perfumer based in Marly Castle, who had to create on daily basis new scent for the king and for the courtesans. And his court was named the perfumed court, la cour parfumée. And, you know, before him, before this period under Louis XIV, perfumes were there, of course, since a long time people are using perfume, but it was more there to hide bad odors. The hygiene was terrible, and at that time people could not wash themselves with water, because all the disease used to be inside the water. So they used to wash themselves with vinegar or kind of things that was not, so you can imagine the ambient smell was terrible, and they used at that time very heavy, concentrated formulation perfumes that was so strong that Louis XIV get allergy to perfume. And the only scent he could wear at the end of his life was the orange blossom, which is one of the ingredients we love to use in most of our creation.
Yep.
And so under Louis XV, it's really the time the perfumery in the way we know it today started to please people as an object of power and an object of seduction. Louis XV is as well the king who created Grasse, you know, the city in the south of near Cannes, south of France, which is the heart of the French perfumery. So we pay tribute to this area. And the second passion of the king in perfume in Château de Marly, Marly Castle, was the horses universe. He's the first one who breeds European horses and Arab horses together. So, you know, the Arab horses are very tiny, dynamic, when the European horses are more taller and more muscly. And he bred them. He has been offered Arab horse by the king of Tunis. And today, 80% of the horses racing today have the same DNA than when Louis XV breeds Arab and European horses. There's like the Adam and Eve. And he was organizing a lot of reception, racing, hunting, and more than 2,000 horses used to be in Château de Marly. So that is why, in connection to the two passions of the king, we name all our creation from breeds, from that time of famous horses of the 18th century, and different breeds now around the world. And this is from our DNA, and we pay tribute to this era of the great perfumery start in France. And if today the made in France for the perfumery is so important and worldwide recognized, is thanks to Louis XV. At that time, all the European courts were ordering their perfumes in France to Jean Fargeon, to the court, and from that time, we can say the perfume world as we know it today started. And we pay tribute in our creation to this era. And that is why we use so many natural ingredients and try to, and we have such a different look, I would say, a bit, I will show you, I bring a few creation to you to show you for, if we have people who don't know, well,
no, great.
Can say we are a bit opulent, very luxurious. We don't follow, so this is a iconic Pegasus. Our cap are made of damask, which are really heavy, and damask is a metal alliage of 3 different metals. And so, yes, this is a beautiful Carlisle. And so we didn't follow any trend. You know, the trend today is more less is more, tiny bottle with a small label, and which is nice, and I do understand people like this style, but we have this heritage where we call our fragrance royal essence, and we want the look and the creation to be really luxurious.
Yeah. And I think it's great you work so hard to retain that connection to the heritage and the history. I think that's one of the strengths of the brand is that identity.
Yeah.
So, should we move on to the next question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Andy Sandoval is asking, is there going to be a Parfums de Marly boutique in California, San Francisco, or LA? I think you were already talking about that, weren't you?
Hello. We have one currently in Dubai. Of course, in the coming years, we would like to have more boutiques in US. Most probably the next one might be or in LA or in Miami.
Yeah.
And then we as well think about having one in Vegas. So which one will come first? It's early to say. Maybe so far we have amazing success in Miami, in Florida, in LA, in Texas as well.
Yep.
So those regions might be most probably the next boutique will come there, but we are not L'Oreal. We don't do 70 boutiques in a year, so we do one by one or two every year. It's already a good reason for us.
Less is more for the boutiques.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I think it helps with demand, doesn't it? If a fragrance is a little harder to get hold of, it always makes people want it more, doesn't it? I think so.
Yeah. No, it's great, and we love having boutiques because that's true that I'm very often going to Paris or New York boutique, and I love to interact with the people in the boutique because you have the entire collection, you have truly passionate people coming there, and most of our clients spend their 30 minutes to an hour discovering scents and chatting, and so it's very interactive, and it's a great tool to, you know, people spend much more time at the boutiques than in department store where it's much more quick and go. Yeah. So it's very important.
I have a friend who's visiting New York in the middle of December. So I'm going to ask him to visit your boutique in New York, and we'll see if you're there in store. If you are, then my friend Pritesh would probably love to have a chat with you. He's not smelled so many. I've just given him a decant of Carlisle recently, and he really enjoys it. So he's getting into the brand. So I'll send him your way, and you can have a chat with him.
Let me know when he will be there, and I'll make myself available, of course.
Great. That sounds good. Okay, moving on to the next question, so we can get through all these. So Ali Al Dawood says, do you have any plans for a Pegasus exclusive? And also, could I add a little bit to that question? What about a certain fragrance makes you think there can be an exclusive flanker to it, if you like?
Okay, so it's a great question, and thank you, Ali, for that, because I have requested a few months ago to Julien if he could develop a Pegasus Exquisite.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's actually under process. We are working on it since few months already. So, you know, as I told you, it's a long process. It's not. I believe it's a code because every perfumes, it can, maybe some of them doesn't make sense to make an exclusive because they are strong enough or they have enough signature that it does not necessarily justify to have an exclusive. But actually, we had in the time Pegasus coffret. It's not available anymore. That was beautiful, luxurious coffret in a wooden box. And inside you had one Pegasus and a tolla with a pure oil of Pegasus and a touch of oud soyofi. And the pure oil with the touch of oud was truly incredible and had an amazing effect. So we asked our perfumer to work on an exclusive perfume, and we are trying to find the same vibes that the one we had with the pure oil and a natural oud in it, a touch of oud, not too aggressive oud. And we are working on it. So hopefully it will come.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I love Leighton and I love Leighton Exclusive, but I find them quite different fragrances.
Yeah.
Leighton Exclusive could have a completely different name and not be related to Leighton, and that would be fine by me. I find it a more elegant, refined scent than Leighton. Leighton's kind of the louder sibling. And
that really depends. I have the same feeling than you personally, so I respect what you say. The thing is, you know, when we work around new creation, we have dozens of different possibilities. The one we end up with is the one we prefer, obviously, or that says that's what I wanted. But still, you have few creations that was fantastic in the same vibe, but truly different. And for Leighton, you know, the original Leighton has this sweet vibes, vanilla melted with woods, giving a caramelized effect, which I like, but that some people might dislike. Yeah. Everyone doesn't like the sweet or opulent fragrance, and Leighton, even though it has a fresh start, is still something very rich. And the Leighton Exclusive is we remove most of the vanilla and make it super woody. So you have a punch of woods, giving, I believe, making it much more masculine, when Leighton is a great unisex, more masculine, more signed, but I believe for connoisseur, for people already in the haute perfumery that like to wear some very signed fragrance like Carlisle or whatever it can be. Yeah. And that's why it made sense for Leighton to have a Leighton Exclusive, because there was really another facet to discover, which was very interesting. Yeah.
That's great. That answers my question. I'm satisfied with that. Thank you for answering. Okay, so the next question from Joe Cochran. He's asking, what can we look forward to in the near future with regards to a new release for both male and female? So I know you have just released Percival. Do you have any fragrances that are nearing release anytime soon?
Alors, we do have one which is finalized, and lately Julien just finalized it. He works he works more than 3 years on this one. It's a fantastic feminine one that we launch April or May next year. Yeah. The name will be Cassili. Cassili, and it's well, I can reveal few ingredients, like you have a peach, plum start, which is absolutely gorgeous.
I love plum.
I truly believe it will be a great hit, and as much as
You've got one customer already here for that one, so yeah, that sounds just the peach.
It has a great projection. The lastic is incredible. I have Tanya from Oswald that smell it in Cannes, and she is absolutely in love. She keeps sending me message, send me a lab sample, please. I want it. So cross finger, will be really amazing. I believe people will love it and the girls will love it. Then Julien is working and almost finalizing now a fragrance which might sell exclusively for US. So the idea was to work on a cologne base, so it's fresh and so on, but making it extremely concentrated, adding a lot of wood as well and our signature to it, with a pear hook at the start. And it will be concentrated around between 23 to 25% of pure perfume, having a great projection, very intense, being very pleasant as well. So I really look forward to this one. And hopefully we will launch it around September next year. The fragrance almost finalized. Julien is such a detailed man that is still asking to work small facets on it, but it's already great. I have some lab sample on my office, and I enjoy it.
Well, I'm more than happy to be involved in any field testing, Ivan. So if you need an extra nose, just give me a shout.
Okay, sure.
And
we will have as well end of next year a new creation for unisex or masculine. More niche, more in more deep winter vibes, and a bit more opulent. And this is still under process, so it's too early to talk about it. We're actually a bit in late. Usually we work for fragrances we want to launch in 2 or 3 years ahead. So now Julien is actively working on 4 or 5 different creations, and well, that's what will come very soon and next year.
Well, I'm really excited about the ones you just talked about. So I cannot wait to see what these.
And then I forgot to say we as well launched. Delina is such a success that we are launching just before December some ancillaries. So we'll have a body cream, we'll have a hair mist. So for Delina, we just launched a travel set for Delina, Layton, and Pegasus, and so we'll have the body cream, the hair mist, and beautiful Delina candle as well. So this is coming just before December.
Just in time for Christmas.
Hopefully, we are working hard to be on time.
Good. Well, I hope you are. Okay, let me run down to the next question. So Robert Quinlan asks, I was wondering if there is a note or theme of fragrance that you haven't yet used that you would like to.
It's a great question. It's interesting because that's true that when we for the first creation, you always try to cover a kind of olfactive family, to propose a large assortment of different olfactive families. So we started with a rose leather, then you can have a Oriental Rose, and initially you want to cover one vetiver, one that. And now we have 25 and 27 different creations now. So we cover most of them. So we are actually, I think Julien now is really having fun going in what he feels, where even though you see Percival adopt something new, one era flashy, elegant, and more versatile fragrance that we didn't really have yet. But now we are working on a sandalwood, very sandalwood Oriental fragrance, but it's more. I believe we are more trying now to work on more versatile fragrance. Still, in you can, people believe that because you try to make fragrances that will please a large number of people, that it's not niche anymore. I truly disagree with that. What makes a fragrance niche is the way you make it. And the way with like Percival, we have more than 15 or 17 natural ingredients in it. It has been done in the pure tradition of the haute perfumery. And even though it's versatile, it's done in a very luxurious and very niche way. So to answer to your question, not really. Now I believe it's time that we start to create fragrances that we feel we love it without too much calcul and say, oh, we didn't cover this era. We covered most of the olfactive families that we wanted to. And now Julien has much more freedom, as well as our perfumers, to go in different directions.
Sure. That kind of ties in with a question that Terry Hollyfield has asked. And he's saying he's interested to know how you decide which direction you go next for your next release.
Yeah, which is, I answer roughly to it already. Before we wanted to cover different olfactive family and the classics, like recently when we launched Acaster, which was an exclusive for that we developed for Harrods in the UK. It was like a year and a half or two, exclusive only in Harrods, Carlisle and Acaster. And Acaster is a classic we wanted to have. When I say a classic, it's an Oriental Rose. So you have hundreds of Oriental Rose available. But that's a classic scent that we didn't have. And we wanted to have our Perfumes de Marly interpretation of this classic. And now we have it. And actually we did it in a way for Acaster, which is really what I like is we took different roses from the different part of the world. So you have Taif rose from Saudi Arabia, Bulgarian rose, you have different kind of rose, all natural, combined with a touch of natural oud soyufi, which is the more expensive fragrance we never developed actually. It's extremely expensive to produce. And I believe it's a piece of art, and I'm so pleased to have that in the collection, even though it's not something new in the perfumery world, because it's a classic, and it's good to have some classic in your collection too.
Yeah. It's great. That's great that you're building a collection, not necessarily what you think is going to be new and different and mind-blowing and take the fragrance world by storm, but it's more like you're creating an album. It's like a musician would create an album, and they would want to represent all the different styles of song perhaps on that one album, so that you have a full collection of lots of different scent profiles.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. So you've answered that, the difference between latent and latent exclusive. So we have a question here. This is an interesting one from Mr. Cologne 76. You might know his Instagram account. He's got a wonderful Instagram account.
Yeah, he's a great influencer, very passionate.
Yeah. He would like to know if Parfums de Marly and the house of Initio are related in any way.
No, absolutely not. They have these two houses have two totally different creation team. They are not related. The only thing is we distribute both brands as a distribution in US, but the teams of creation are absolutely not the same. I don't have any involvement at all in this brand. Parfums de Marly does not own the brand, and it's a totally different vibe. It's a great brand actually that really brings something new and great concept in the market and in the perfumery world. But they both brands really have their total different entity, and the creative team is totally different.
So it's just a distribution connection, that's all. Yeah. Okay. Now, QQ has a question, and he says, tell Ivan to stop reformulations. Many of their fragrances were weakened a lot. When Herod came out, it was explosive. Now it's a lot weaker. Same goes for other fragrances too. So could you touch on reformulations and whether they happen or not?
What was the name of your follower, sorry?
QQ is the YouTube subscriber name.
QQ. Well, thank you for this question. I'm very pleased you asked that. So what I can tell you guys is, of course, we never ever reformulate any of our creations. They are all absolutely the same. But as I mentioned earlier, we use natural ingredients. And Herod is, inside Herod, you have like more than 80% natural. So when you work natural ingredients, it's much more complicated to have the exact same smell through in the time, because the vanilla, if 1 year you have too much rain, or the quality of the raw material, you can have small variation, which could explain a slight difference, but that's very minor because we work with a huge laboratory like Firmenich or Givaudan in this house are so huge that they are able to guarantee, and they have so many different sources, even though we use only Madagascar vanilla. They have enough stock for 2-3 years to guarantee the perfect quality. But what the big difference is, you know, people wear Herod. We have large bottle of Herod. Most of them, they keep it for 1 year, 2 years, if not 3 years. And as you have natural ingredients in it, they are alive perfumes. So through the time, the maturation will still evolve slightly and positively in the time, becoming stronger and stronger. So the effect you had when you end up your bottle was maybe a bit more intense. That's the one you have in the new one. But the new one will evolve in the same way that it used to be when you purchase the previous bottle. And I can guarantee you that the formulation never change. We always use the same raw materials, and we will never change. The only sometimes, somehow, it didn't happen yet to us, but with it's true that sometimes with the legislation, IFRA, that they might remove some ingredients that become unauthorized to use. Then you have to rework a bit your formulation, because you have to remove this ingredient because they estimate it's not healthy or whatever. But it didn't happen yet to us ever. And I can guarantee you that your Herod is the same beast and will evolve, and in the same way that the first bottle that you put.
And I'm right in saying that as this evolution takes place, even the color of the juice can change and mature over time.
Because when you use natural vanilla, the juice in the time will color more and more naturally. If you use synthetic, the juice will never change color. But with natural ingredients, of course, it's alive, and it evolves in the time. Even though after the maceration, we freeze the fragrances at very high negative temperature to block them. But then back in the bottle, it will slightly evolve in the time positively, because they are alive and natural ingredients interact much more in time than when you use only synthetic molecule. So that's the reason why you might find slight change, but nothing to worry with, and guarantee you all the formulation are the same.
It's a fascinating subject and a fascinating answer. I think a lot of people will be very interested to hear what you've just spoken about. Janie has just asked a very interesting question that I would also like to know as well. When are we going to see Percival released in the UK? Do you know?
Very soon. Very soon. In the before Christmas, you will have it.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure I put it on my Christmas list then.
So if not, I believe it's even already in Harrods.
Percival is in Harrods already, is it? Right.
I believe so, yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Well, we are in Harrods and Selfridges. And you know, they like to have, so one time on two, we have to give the new release exclusive to one or to the other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe this is in Harrods right now.
Well, that's great. I'll be going to Harrods in 2 or 3 weeks' time, so I'll make sure I'll make sure I go and seek out Percival in there. I'll just check. I think we may be through all these questions. We've got maybe just a few minutes left before Instagram cuts us off at the hour.
Is it already an hour we talk?
Nearly an hour, yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible.
There's just one question here from Mr. D, and he finds that Parfums de Marly's fragrances are very expensive for him, and he's wondering if you'll be releasing a more affordable line under the name of Parfums de Marly.
Or smaller sizes, so...
Either smaller sizes or a new line that is maybe cheaper.
I, of course, can understand it's not cheap. Yeah, 200 to 300 euro is expensive for fragrance. Saying that, I really believe you have a great fragrance juice for this price. I believe Parfums de Marly is really well priced, but I can understand it's still pricey. What I can tell you, so what was the name, sorry, of your subscriber?
Mr. D.
Mr. D. Is if maybe it can be good to buy less perfumes if you can, because large bottle of Parfums de Marly will last, you know, to spray, it will last all day long, and your bottle will last more than a year. And it really worth it. Then lately, if you like Layton or Pegasus, we launched a travel set with a beautiful Zamac spray, which is much more affordable. I believe we sell it around 150 euros, something like that. Mm-hmm. We are working as well for next year on a discovery collection of 10 ml, having the 6 different fragrances of 10 ml. For the people who cannot necessarily afford the full bottle, that will be a great discovery collection set, which will make it as affordable as possible as well, to allow most of the people to have a fit in our house. Otherwise, we do have, I don't know, Mr. D, where you are based, but we do have 75 ml for most of our unisex creations that are more affordable than the travel set. And soon we'll have within a year, a great discovery collection set, which will make very aggressive in terms of price.
That sounds great. I'm just going to ask you one more thing that some people may want to hear about. We are going to probably, I'll leave that question for another time, because Instagram's telling me we've got about 20 seconds remaining.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just sign off. I know a lot of people who've been in the chat have been asking questions. I've not been able to keep up with these questions.
I will be more than happy to answer to the questions on your channel. And
this will be live for another 24 hours. So thank you, Ivan. We're about to go. Thank you so much for coming on.